Really in this space, and in particular innovating this Web3 space with products that exist in the Web2 world, but now converting them into like Web3 in any new innovative way that's introduced, as we explore, because it's kind of like new territory. So we're a pretty solid community.
Welcome to Lights Camera Crypto, the podcast exploring all things entertainment and Web3. I'm your host, Stephen Ladden, and our guest is Shaun Falcone. Shaun is the co-founder of the Metagalactic Club, which is the parent company to the Dazed Ducks universe. In this episode, Shaun details growing up in a third world country and pursuing a tech education, how that tech education combines with some entrepreneurial activities, ultimately pushing Shaun into the Web3 crypto space, which he is presently in. He then details the inspirations behind Dazed Ducks, what went into that project, what continues to go into that project, and what we can expect overall from the Metagalactic Club in the coming months and years. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. Absolute pleasure.
Sure. So, Shaun, crypto is a burgeoning industry, it seems, an idea, and now increasingly a tangible landscape. How did you get immersed in the world? Is that something that you even thought about back in the day, that one day you'd be working in this decentralized space? How did it all start for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say that the first slight introduction to crypto to me, and it leads a little towards this negative association that crypto has, as far as I was in college and I did need a fake ID. Okay, so what it was like, I was like, oh, okay. So that's when I did stumble on Bitcoin. Okay, whether I got it or not, I don't know. We'll leave that as a mystery. But that's kind of when Bitcoin did first appear on the radar. And to me, it was just like, okay, digital transfer, that's cool. I guess like not like PayPal, which I'm from a third world country, and PayPal has always just been a pain in the ass to transact with. They hold your funds for so long and whatnot. So I looked at the price. The time was about $100. I was like, okay, well that's kind of cool. But I was in my college years, so I was very into like drinking and partying, and that's it. That went away, and I never saw Bitcoin again until 2016, when things kind of started getting hot on the market again, and it came up on the radar again. At that time was around $600. Then I was like, oh, okay, not bad, and I really deep dove into it and really learned more about what it was, and like, no, it's not just used for illegal activities, or what this big association that it had with it, right? And it definitely caught my interest back then. Unfortunately, at that time, I just didn't have a lot of capital personally, so I wasn't, able to deep dive into it as an investment, but just more so as getting familiar with the community that was being built around it, and again, and then from there, just deep diving into the knowledge of it, and branching off into other coins and whatnot. But yeah, so that's kind of my introduction into Bitcoin.
Got you. And you say you were from a third world country and then went to school. Where were you from originally, and then where did you go to school?
Sure. I'm from Antigua. It's a small Caribbean island. I would say for most people, it's close to Puerto Rico, a little bit further down the Caribbean chain. I was born and raised here by Italian parents. So funny enough, met here. And I studied here. I did up until sixth grade, then boarding school in the States, back here for high school, and then came college and deciding what to do then. And I was already, at that time, I was around 15, 16 years old, and I did really get into computers. First, it was with Photoshop, doing these cool little designs, and that captivated my attention. Just being able to create something on the computer. So I knew that I wanted to be in this field. I didn't know exactly what games also really caught my attention. So I was like, all right, let me study this. So I went to San Francisco at the Academy of Art University and studied web design. New media is what it was classified back then. I think they changed the name now. Um, so yeah, and there it's again when I kind of deep dove into whole building of websites, learning animation, learned some coding. It was a very all round in this industry, which was a great experience.
Yeah, and so it sounds like then you had a background in web design and in computers and an enthusiasm for all of those things. Was then the migration into crypto just in a uh, the progression of pursuing those interests, and that's kind of where the passion started to align as well, or how did that all kind of
Yeah,
move forward?
yeah, 100%. Just kind of being in the web industry, and very passionate again, yeah, about this, computers and being able to build stuff on them. It definitely led into this crypto side. However, when I first came across the crypto side, it was more on the investing side. Um, so like a little bit further on in my crypto career, one of my online businesses finally started to do well, and then I went into it as an investment, and then now launching the Metagalactic Club and Dazed Ducks, it's been quite neat because I've managed to get all my experience from this web world and web marketing and put it into a NFT slash crypto industry and really merge these two worlds together, which has been quite awesome. But yeah, completely. Yeah, they definitely one led to the other, and now it's just kind of a mesh of the two.
So in a lot of ways, having how important is then your background of web design and gaming and it sounds like investing, like that seems like a very specific background
As an important in like what we're currently pursuing, or
in terms of understanding the direction that crypto is taking, say, web and
mm,
internet, and then certainly into what you're currently pursuing, but really your perspective
yeah,
of noticing, hey, I have to pivoting into crypto and to the
right.
future of, say, the internet is something that makes sense.
For sure. I think the big hot word there is the Web3 world, right? As in where I was, I learned to build stuff in the Web2 space. And don't get me wrong, not like super crazy coder, but enough to, get websites up, at least have a good idea of getting web apps out there. So now, yeah, this whole Web3 space, yeah, I think the experience I've had in the past has been, yeah, pretty vital to just again deep diving into this space, and in particular something I'm very interested in is the whole wallet connectivity, as in like that's like your identity, which you can choose to remain anonymous if you wish to, um, and kind of starting to eliminate this whole the powerhouses such as Facebook, Google connectivity, which
Mm.
are all about tracking you. I think that's something that's very interesting in this kind of next web world that we're looking at.
So just to understand timeline too, so growing up in Antigua, you
Mm-hmm,
or to Italian parents, go to flash
mm-hmm,
forward, go to San Francisco for web and design,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm.
were there other people in like, did you meet people at school that were also pursuing a similar thing, or was this sort of again more of an alignment in terms of, all
Sure.
right, hey, I have the web background, I'm interested in investing, everything's coming together, or were there other people involved kind of joining on that journey as well?
On this particular journey, no. However, a really important piece of the people that I made a connection with in those years is the journey of just general creativity. being placed in San Francisco, surrounded by such creative individuals and people, everyone there, and also the fact of being in an art school, everyone there working on a project, it definitely shaped me to becoming an entrepreneur. I caught the entrepreneur bug in San Francisco 100% there, like massively. And I think that was an impact of being placed even in a place where it's even known for kind of the startup world. So yeah, it definitely shaped me to where I am now, without a doubt. And yeah, touching back on the entrepreneur bug is just when, there I just had a whole heap of ideas that I wanted to work on, and I just deep dove into it to where I actually didn't even end up finishing school to pursue those dreams.
Oh,
and
wow.
and then
So
that led into crypto.
gotcha. So really,
Yeah.
it sounds like, yeah, the entrepreneurial bug, that spirit, was it just the freedom, as you said, to enact, like you had the skill set to be able to kind of create what it is that were envisioning, and there was nothing
Hmm.
stopping you at that point, right?
Exactly, and yeah, because it was just like, I can build this product. Like I'm capable of doing it. In case I get stuck, I'm now. I got to the point where the 3 hours of classes a day that I had weren't enough, so I was just jumping on YouTube to learn like the steps ahead. It was like moving too slow for me. So I was like I got YouTube. If I get stuck, like, you know what, let's do it. So yeah, so that's where, like, I just started, my first business, which did not do well, and several ones after that did not do well, but it's all part of the journey.
Totally, and I think that entrepreneurial experience, it's like, did you anticipate failing uh, with businesses before, like knowing that, hey, this is part of that process, the in essence, if I learn from them, they're wins.
Yeah, exactly. At that time, um, you know being young, and I'm still young and still very passionate, but having never failed at something, at least in business before, because I had never tried, I was like, this is a hit, like, no doubt. And like, yes, I was listening, which helped a lot, listening to a lot of personal development, like podcasts and audiobooks and business. And everyone says, like, you're gonna fail, like, you're going to fail. And I'm kind of thinking, I don't know, like, this is, still. But so when I did fail, like, I was prepared for it, because listening to the audiobooks and the podcasts from, like, successful business owners, they kind of prepped me for it. So, like, I wasn't discouraged at all, and kept at it, um, for many years to come.
With the entrepreneurial spirit and understanding that it's kind of a longer term game, was it, well, I guess, what attracted you initially to entrepreneurship, other than, or was it simply, hey, I don't have any barriers, I don't have any
It,
roadblocks, it's just
yeah,
what's in my head, I just have to figure out how to implement.
yeah. I think it's definitely more along those levels. Um, Something that threw me off, in university in particular, was, one, to excel in it, to learn what I really wanted to learn. I needed to do these other classes or learn these other things that I wasn't particularly interested in order to learn what I really wanted to learn, which was, like, more on, at that time, developing games and entrepreneurship. I went to my advisor and asked, like, do you guys do courses with this stuff? Yes, your last year. You still have another two
Ah,
years until you get to those classes. So I was like, I don't want to waste my time. I want to learn this now. So that was a big driving factor. But then also, I felt very, like, forced, in a way, as in, like, yeah, make sure you guys, like, do this to get your degree to go work for someone else. Um, yeah, it just didn't resonate with me, because I was like, man, I can, like, just start this app or launch this website and like keep at it, keep at it, keep at it. Like sooner or later, it's gonna turn around and and I can make the decisions and just be more free than someone else telling me what to do. So
Totally.
yeah, that's yeah, that resonated with
So
me, and it just kind of stuck with it. Yeah.
sure. So it sounds like then the really the critical jump off point for you was realizing at school that one, you already knew what you wanted to do. You realized that the classes you were taking, there was this 2-year period in which to ultimately be immersed in what you actually wanted to do. It was something you could just
Hmm.
do. You didn't have to wait,
Hmm.
and that
Right.
also kind of meant though that you'd have to gear shift into a different lane, i.e. entrepreneurship and
Yeah.
dropping classes.
Yep.
With all that, was there an early experience when you made that shift that kind of validated, hey, I've taken steps in a different direction. I know what I want to do. I'm pursuing business here. I've fell a couple times
Hmm.
through that all. Was there a nugget
Hmm.
of light, of hope, of reassurance that, hey, you know what? Despite this, I'm on the right path, and I know I've made the right decision.
Yeah, for sure. I think it was actually very early on, which was with my first business, because I was into design and then I learned how to code websites. Um, and at the time, Facebook was very popular, and I was like, hey, what if I designed Facebook covers? And so the website, which doesn't exist anymore, it's a shame. I kind of want to like revitalize it. Was filecovers.com. So it was like my name with covers, and I thought this is so cool, like filecovers.com. So I did my designs and I made like custom Facebook posts. And when I had someone that I had no idea who it was, it wasn't my parents or it wasn't my brother, it was someone random in New York that purchased a custom Facebook cover. I was like, it's possible. It's possible. And on top there, it was someone else that had also purchased one of my pre-made ones, and that um, reassured me this whole passive income concept, right? Like work hard before you can build these products, in particular digital products, which to this day are still kind of like my favorite. Actually, they are my favorite type of product, because yeah, you can work hard to build them, put it up there, and when they sell, they can sell while you sleep and automatically get delivered and all of that. So I got to say, quite early on, I was like, yeah, this is completely possible, and I'm just gonna keep at it. Like I'm gonna keep trying until something sticks. Um,
Right.
and then if I were to jump into like, yeah, like the self-sustaining is like, yeah, as I learned more and more and got better with marketing, I did pick up affiliate marketing, because then that led me into, because that's something very important with online business, is like you've got to be a good marketer. um, that it's like one of the most important pieces. So I had actually dropped off a little bit on the actual building side and had shifted more onto the marketing side, a little later on when I started this entrepreneurial journey. So I picked up affiliate marketing, for the reason that I learned marketing to market my own products, at the time. But then I thought, wait a second, like at this point, sorry, is that there? Gardener here. At this point, like I can actually sell someone else's product. Like I don't need to go through the time of maintaining or continuing to build. But I can sell other people's products and make a commission on it. So I had an affiliate business that started doing quite well, and then that's something else that caught my attention, was affiliate marketing, and then that's when I got into like SEO and ranking on Google and these sort of things. Yeah, like one thing just led to the other, to the other, to the other.
And all the while you're building the skill sets and the experience that ultimately is leading, I imagine, led you to where you are now with Metagalactic Club, Dazed Ducks, and everything else.
Yeah, it's pretty surreal, actually, like how it's all pieced together to now like the Metagalactic Club. Yeah. it's quite amazing. It's like, wow, okay, like these are all the things that need to happen. Like I learned this in this business, like, and don't get me wrong, we are still learning a lot. Like we've made so many mistakes that now, like the next time around, like we will not do. But having had, a whole heap of other mistakes under my belt, at least we weren't making those ones again.
Sure. So maybe just to backtrack, what then led from moving more into affiliate marketing? You're still on the entrepreneurial journey. You're trying out a different bunch of different businesses. You've now been exposed to investing in different forms of crypto and stuff like that. How does all
Yeah.
this kind of snowball, and then Dazed Ducks Metagalactic Club are sort of born?
Yeah, backtracking to being introduced to crypto in 2016, that's when it kind of sparked my attention. However, again, at the time, I didn't have much capital. I had many failed businesses. Like I was always investing basically everything I had in my bank account in these businesses. So I didn't have anything as far as investing at the time. I tried to get my family in, like my dad in, but he wasn't buying it at all. So I kind of watched that first bull run, like, oh my god, if I had put this, like, it would have become this, like, holy crap. So like I witnessed that first big run, back in 2017 without actually really being in it. So I knew like what was possible in this world of investing in crypto. So in the time between 2017 and 2019, uh, I had finally had one of my affiliate businesses generate a substantial amount of income where I had enough to invest. Um, and again, majority actually, well, not again, actually, it's the first time I'm telling you, but majority of the funds I was making at the time, I was actually investing in one of my previous businesses that I had built a prototype for and had been very successful prototype. So I just had this goal to just finish it. But on the sidelines, crypto was always there, so I was able to put a little 500 here, 1,000 every now and then, tried to get at least 500 a weekend. And then that business that I had invested in did not go anywhere. I was like, oh my god! But then my crypto portfolio started taking off like crazy, like I just surreal. So it definitely caught my attention more. Because then I started making a substantial amount of income on investing in crypto. That I focused more attention to it because I had a lot of capital. Like a small amount went a really long way, and I managed to move it around into different altcoins. Shuffle it around a little, do very well with it. Where it got to a point that then NFTs got onto my radar, and when NFTs got onto my radar, I was like, this is very, very interesting because the NFT, the way that we're currently using them is just such an amazing portal into, again, this kind of Web3 world we're talking about. So then that's when I kind of connected the dots. I was like, okay, with my web, marketing / development experience and this NFT technology, like there can be something there without a doubt. Um, and there was a local artist here in Antigua, extremely talented, and I was like, yeah, man, this is the right guy for this job. And that's where I diverted most of my crypto portfolio to go almost all in on creating at the time we were called specifically, Dazed Ducks Metagalactic Club. However, now we're doing a slight restructure to the Metagalactic Club. Um, and and to be honest, I just invested most of my crypto into this project, and it's been a hell of a ride.
Sure. And what, for those listeners who don't know, what exactly is Dazed Ducks? What's the kind of mission statement behind Metagalactic Club? What are you guys all about?
Yeah, definitely. and it's a great question, because it was something that now we're really like wanting to focus on that mission statement, because we kind of just took off and started building, like we just wanted to like build these products, right, and then have this community around these products that we built, and you know, create something there. But then I was like, okay, hold on a second, it's like, let's deep dive into it. And ultimately what has just become naturally is just such a strong community that's, you know, really in this space, and in particular innovating this Web3 space with products that exist in the Web2 world, but now converting them into like Web3 in any new innovative way that's introduced, as we explore, because it's kind of like new territory. So yeah, so we're a pretty solid community, where we jump on town halls every week with updates on that, and we're really focused on community and community feedback while we build these next products out. Oh no, sorry, and I was saying all while giving value back, to the holders in these neat little innovative ways that we can get into later on.
Is the artistic side of things still with the original artist that in Antigua that you had? Oh, awesome! And so, how did that initial conversation go? Like, did you just approach him or her at a blue? Like, how did all that come together?
Sure. Yeah, it's a funny story, because I had known him for a very long time, just mainly through social media. You know, he was posting his artwork, and he has a lot of his work around the island at different restaurants and whatnot. So like I knew of him. We had never met in person. And at the time I was in Canada, actually, had the second child on the way. And that's when the NFTs popped up on my radar. And I was like, again, like, wow, okay, this guy will kill it. So I just hit him up on Instagram. I was like, yo, you're free for a call? You know, he never met me in person. He's like, yeah, man, like, here's my number. Gave him a call. I was like, dude, go off. Like, have you heard of NFTs? And he's like, no, man, like, what are those? So, you know, we kind of deep dove into that space. You know, I was explaining, you know, what an NFT is, and it definitely captivated his attention. Like, he didn't 100% fully grasp it, but at the time I was also showing him like what was happening in the space, and yeah, he was definitely very interested. So we actually started where I was almost going to be like, let's say almost like a manager, and we were like working on one stuff. Like I set him up a Rarible profile, and he was putting up one artwork on Rarible on Ethereum. I was just buying it all. You know, whenever he would put something, I was the only buyer. But but it got to a point where I was just like, okay, this isn't really working. Like, what should we do? And I was like, we need to create a collection, you know, because then with a collection you can really create a community. And so I was like, dude, like, let's make a collection on like what character do you want to do, like. And he's like, well, you know, like, he showed me actually I have it here. Yeah, I'll show you over video, but it's pretty neat. He showed me, actually, my internet's gonna cut out over here. Anyways, he showed me an actual physical painting of a Dazed Ducks, of a Dazed Duck, and he's like, yeah, man, this is Dazed Duck. Like, this is like my top seller in my shop. Like, people are just drawn to it, and I think, yeah, let's do that. I was like, all right, Dazed Ducks, like, let's do it. So I started working on the website. He started working on all the individual assets. And then we just went with it. And as I started marketing it, then it caught the attention of a few others here in Antigua that have been in, like, you know, the marketing and fintech space. So, you know, one of them reached out to me. He's like, yo, man, like, I love what you guys are doing. You know, like, can I help out? So that's when Zach came on board, who set up all of our Discords and like Facebook, or no, sorry, Twitter, and was very active on that side of things. And then Sash came on board because he was already introduced in like the fintech startup companies in England, so he had good connections with developers in Europe to help us out on the development side of things. So it's 4 of us, all based here in Antigua. That yeah, we just kind of ran with the project, and it was about 5 to 6 months of like building and pre-marketing, and then we managed to mint out.
Was minting out the sort of nugget that let you know, hey, Dazed Ducks is, of all the things you've been working on, like, hey, this is the experience that is validating all of the entrepreneurial efforts and everything in between. Like, it's culminating with this mint.
100%, because there was like a few little techniques that I have learned again from previous mistakes that we didn't do again, like leading up to like the minting process and during minting. That yeah, 100, especially when we minted out, is like 100% like validated. Like wow, like wow, like yeah. 100%. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely not all sunshine and rainbows, because boy, oh boy, have these last 5 months, we minted out a month before the major crash. And
oh wow,
that was something that I have never been through before. So lesson learned there. Like we got hit hard, our treasury, like, oh, but again, it's still validated, and we're still building. And on my side of things, in my previous businesses that failed, ultimately they fail when you stop working on them, is when it's really considered a failure. And now that we have such a strong community and so many like passionate members, I just don't see this failing, because it's something that now is like, I will not stop. Like I do not see myself moving on to another thing of what has been established so far.
And how much of that is really the alignment of your interests, your passions, and the feedback from pursuing the path that you're on, that from, I guess, the universe feedback of, hey, people have obviously, you had the mint, people have purchased the work. It's like, and then as you're talking about the community building and everything, is it just, does it feel fully aligned, and that's how this is your path? What are the other indicators aside from fulfillment that really make you aware of this, this juncture?
Great question. And what aligns with that directly is with the previous experience I've had, even working with clients with like e-commerce stores and whatnot. So like when we launch our merchandise, like I built out the whole platform myself using WooCommerce, because like have experience with building those stores, integrating what needs to be integrated to be able to do it. So like that was just like, that was a breeze, where usually it could take some time if you don't know what you're doing. So like that was that was not a breeze on the business side of things, because physical products are, oh my gosh, one of the biggest pain in the ass I've ever been through. But a breeze on the technical side, on the digital building side. So yeah, and then leading on to these next business ventures, it ties into my previous passions. So the next venture that we'll be launching is soulgames.com. So it's going to be a gaming platform that will have both casino style games, but as well as the hyper casual gaming games, such as like Flappy Bird and Helix Jump, and these sort of like tap games where you can enter tournaments with. And one of my dreams has always been to launch one of these games. When we launch Soul Games, it will have other people's games in it, and then who knows, maybe eventually I'll introduce one of the previous games that I was building out. But it ties into my gaming passion, and it goes a little further than that, as far as like then the marketing side, made me aware how lucrative the advertising is. So once we established Soul Games and the Metagalactic Club properly, like where we really like want it to be, which essentially, is profitable, we want to introduce Soul Ads, which will be an advertising networking platform.
Cool.
And that ties into my previous experience utilizing many of these platforms, but this time
Sure.
we'll try building our own.
And I love how again, it's like initial interest in gaming and web design is now full circle. You kind of went through your own, call it entrepreneurial tech hero's journey, and then came out the other side with still the same vision, but all these acquired skills and perspectives that have then been able to be implemented in this new company and world that you're creating.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny you say that because there's a kind of one piece here that I didn't talk about, but it's funny because it does tie in to when I started university, and maybe it was the spark of the entrepreneur bug. But we have a platform; it's in beta now, but it's how we give value back to our holders. It's soulbids.com, and it's a auction and raffle platform where you can win NFTs, gift cards, and in real life items. Again, right now in beta, we don't have many prizes there, but once our ecosystem becomes profitable, that's going to be a place where there's some like nice juicy prizes for mainly for our holders, because it'll be exclusive to our native token, but outsiders can theoretically purchase the token and enter these raffles. Anyways, the unique way that at least the auction platform is in the Web2 space is called penny auctions. And when I got to San Francisco, I stumbled across a site called qbids.com, and it was a penny auction site where it's like a gamified auction platform that I got hooked into. I was like, wow, if I just like bid here and I can win these items and I can sell these items, and I should be able to profit, because like they made it where you can, like, the more you bid, you can purchase that item with the bid that you had previously used. So there's almost like no losing with that platform. Anyway, so like I deep dove into that and started selling like these items that I would win. That now that platform, like that technology, that idea, we're rebuilding in the Web3 space. Just for like how captivating of an experience it was for me back then.
You mentioned before on the tip of everything. I'm thinking about the successes that you're describing, and sort of the finding the connectivity between all of your different experiences. You mentioned at one point that you were trying to get your father on board with crypto, and he was a little hesitant to it. Did your parents understand sort of the world you're in now, and what it is, and or is there some sort of, is there still sort of an ambiguity around how it works, what you're doing, and all that stuff? And I ask because I know for a lot of people, just in general, understanding what crypto is and understanding cryptocurrency and decentralized concepts as a thing is certainly can be a little challenging. So using your parents as an example, with their son who's actually having success in the space, how do they relate to everything? And
yeah, it's right, because at the beginning, obviously, dropping out of university for most parents is not like, not many parents are a fan of that. Mine weren't too much, but they didn't really mind. But they did pull the card, which I'm grateful for, and I'll probably do the same with my kids, where it's like, all right, well, if you're not in uni, then we're not going to support you anymore. So I was like, what? Okay, read up, fuck it. Like,
yeah.
So they're like, yeah, they knew that I was pursuing this world, but my dad, he was always like, oh, it's a scam, and he actually did invest in one of my first products I did want to launch, but that developer basically disappeared with the money. So it reassured him, yeah, this world is just full of scammers. It's all thing, and that on top of it is like, so it wasn't like the best experience in the beginning. But I just kept at it, and I think how they saw that just kept at it, they, of course, that they're going to support that. Were they like on board with it fully? Probably not. But then yeah, finally, kind of like when success started coming in, and then
Sure.
I kind of showed them how this stuff worked. My dad in particular got very, yeah, like involved himself. So like I managed to get him to invest in crypto, and that became a substantial amount. And I mean, he became more excited about the space for a moment there than I did.
Oh, wow.
He'd call me every day. It's like, oh, did you see this token? Like, have you heard about this? And I was like, so yeah, he got very excited about it. But I guess it's also that euphoric moment that, if you get in just before a parabolic bull run and you see those numbers, yeah, I think it will happen with anyone.
Sure.
And then when I shifted to the Ducks and the whole NFT thing, kind of similar, where they just did not understand like the concept of it, but I think kind of similar too, because it was so funny. I remember my dad being there. We as a team, we had all gone like a lounge area to mint during the mint, and we were actually minting ourselves. Uh, and my dad was there, like super confused about these ducks and like why we're buying these ducks. And anyways, when we minted out, and he heard like how much we had raised, same thing. He's like, "Oh my god, like I want a duck. Like, like how do I get one?" Da, 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 da. So I showed him all the whole Phantom integration and this and that, and yeah. To this day, he's like super kind of excited to be in the space. Obviously, not as much now. I think in a bear market, people that aren't fully passionate about the space leave, but
Sure. Sure.
but still in it.
Totally. And in terms of being in the bear market and just being in this space in general, what do you foresee as the future of, in this case, art and gaming and crypto and sort of the industry in that sense? What do you think we can expect to see, regardless of where the market is, just the future of gaming and art and all of
Sure.
those things?
I think what will be really interesting to see what happens here, and this is the route that we're in particular taking compared to traditional business. But one is the transparency, as in like the full transparency of a business. So like I'll give you an example, with us and like our communities, like we have a dashboard where you can see like our treasury. We're developing a place where you can see like how every dollar is spent, like where every dollar is spent. So like there's that level where now like you're able to do something like that, like not super easily, but a lot easier than it would be in like the Web 2 space and like the traditional banking space. Because already now on the blockchain, everything is already transparent. So when a transaction happens, like it's a lot easier to record that and show it, as opposed to if you were to try to do that with banking, it, a lot more difficult. So like the transparency of monetary flows, I think will be huge in many different industries, because I think it'll be tailored to, I believe, companies that are transparent with that are the ones that are going to gain the trust of the public and ultimately their business. So that's like transparency is one of our core values. And I'll give you another example of it, where with that transparency and the monetary flow of funds, is I do believe that the funds should ultimately then come back around to the user. And in particular, this the best example of this would be with the advertising. On the advertising side, we know now that like our data is being sold for like hundreds of millions, billions of dollars through advertising, right? So with what we want to do in a way with Soul Ads, and the way that we had this idea was we imagined our users coming in, seeing an advertising, right? But then the money made from that advertising ultimately like eventually revolves back to them. And unfortunately, like we're not able to do that directly because you'd be considered a security. So this is why we've created soul bids to purchase prizes and these sort of things, that then it will go there. So we're trying to actually establish a structure where 80% of net profits would go into giving back to the community, um, through a fully transparent way. So like you, in theory, would be making money off looking through advertisements, rather than it all going to the people at the top. And this goes the same for gaming, right? And in gaming, these companies are making billions of dollars through in-app purchases. But now with NFTs, the players have the ability to own the in-app purchases, right? So like when there is an in-app purchase of the NFT that you own or of the item that you have created, you're the one that's making the money. And yes, the people that created get that kickback. But that's why we love the 80-20 principle, where like in that form, like as a core team or as the core community that created it, like we just want 20%, but we believe 80% should go back to the end user. So everything is an experiment in this space. But it's a concept that we really believe in, that we're embedding with these next businesses.
Yeah, and I love how the experimentation in the area that you're talking about now is really just about giving back, and again hoping that becomes the norm. That giving back to the people in the community is
right,
is normalized.
I really see it as like moving forward, that if a company or business doesn't do that, then they have a slim chance of surviving, because it's like, wait a second, this community or this product or this service, in some way, shape, or form, eventually that value is returned back to me, or at least not all of it, but like a good chunk. Let me go check out what those guys are doing. Right. That's why it's something I'm pretty passionate about that. And for example, like when we minted out, we only paid ourselves 20% of those mint funds. 80% went into the treasury, where the community kind of like controlled and what we're using to build now. I don't know many projects that do that or have done that.
Yeah, or have that percentage split.
That percent, exactly.
Which all comes back to, and we mentioned it, or we touched on it earlier on in the conversation, the concept of decentralization and what that would bring. And with respect to Dazed Ducks and Metagalactic, it sounds like from what you're saying, the future for what you guys are building is that community is at the forefront, and keeping that transparency is also part of what you believe success will come from.
100%. In this next Web3 space, 100%. Like, is it the end all be all? Maybe not. Maybe it is. But as far as I see it, it definitely will play a major role of who's successful or not in this next wave.
The idea being that those who aren't transparent have something to hide, or that the transparency just breeds goodwill.
I in a way where I feel like if you're not transparent, you do have something to hide. You're either just being a bit too greedy with the money and paying yourself a crazy amount, or you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, why not be transparent?
Totally. And I think it changes the paradigm too, to top down. If the top's transparent and normalizing transparency there, then the idea being trickle down, hopefully at every level from here on out, then there's transparency across the board. And as we were saying before, then transparency and giving back become the norm, rather than perhaps what you could say about the traditional systems at play.
Exactly. And this leads me into, like, my next mission, but that won't be for a while, as in I want to establish it here with the Metagalactic Club. But I think that that's how governments and politics should operate too.
Totally. Next steps, Metagalactic Club in the next 6 months to year, what can we expect from you guys, and what should we be on the lookout for?
Yeah, the next 6 months is going to be quite interesting because yeah, we have Soul Games that's almost ready to launch, and I have so much confidence that what we've built with Soul Games will be that product that will get us that attention again. People will go on to Soul Games, and from that, see that it's been built by the Metagalactic Club, see the Metagalactic Club, and we have some pretty neat website design ideas, which we want to blow some minds with. That then to captivate people into this ecosystem that we're building. So I feel, yeah, again, quite confident with the launch of Soul Games and everything that we have planned as far as like each piece of this ecosystem that we're building in preparation for that launch, and after that launch should make some noise in the space and show again this whole kind of flywheel effect of it coming back to the holders and to members and even to the users. So yeah, definitely keep a lookout for that. With that as well, with knowing the attention that can be brought, we're also kind of working in like restructuring our brand. In the beginning, we were a bit all over the place. We had Dazed Ducks Metagalactic Club, we had the Metagalactic Club, we have Planet Mallard, we have Galaxies. So we've been really, really focused, in this past month to get our lore, on point and our branding on point. And just focused on that in preparation for these next launches that, again, I feel really confident that will make some noise in the space and get back up into that popular collection. And after that, that's usually when FOMO kicks in, but no financial advice there.
Is the name for Soul Games, out of curiosity, SOUL or SOLE or
solgames.com? Yeah, so we definitely have shifted or have always been, like, since we decided to be on Solana, wanting to build products on Solana.
Got it.
And really integrate with that ecosystem. Yeah, so that's why I just figured, solgames.com. I purchased that domain quite a while ago, along with soulads.com and soulbids.com to create this kind of trifecta that should really create a self-sustainable ecosystem. Yeah, in the space and driving Solana. We're all Solana maxis, so
yeah, all Solana proponents.
Huge Solana believers in Solana. So we took a gamble because these were premium domains too, so they're like pretty pricey domains because they're kind of like high authority domains, as far as like the name and the branding. So a bit of a gamble there, but we do really believe in Solana, that there will be a big player in this next Web3 world.
Was that something that you came across early on, that, hey, we think Solana is going to be a player, let's route all of our builds through that? Or did something, I guess, how did you make the decision to
When I got in contact with Guava, the artist, at the time we were actually going to mint on Ethereum. But in those times, Ethereum had the highest gas prices I think they may have ever had in history. So even just minting his one of ones was just like, ridiculously expensive as far as, in theory, uploading an image and putting it on the blockchain. So, thinking about creating a collection of 10,000 was just like, But at the same time, Solana NFTs were starting to get on the radar. So like that caught my attention. And I just love Solana's, I'm still a design enthusiast. So design plays a big factor for me, actually, in some decisions I make. And looking at Solana's like branding and what they're trying to do, and they just seem to be like that next kind of modern hipsters of the future. tied with their transactions per second, I was like, I think Solana is going to be a big NFT player, and let's get in before that wave. And that timing was quite perfect with that, because I think it partially helped us like mint out, because a lot of people were moving from ETH to Solana. And then I just knew that they were going to be a big player in that space. And then shortly after, OpenSea integration came in, and now, DeGods and their Utes and the attention that they've brought again to Solana, it's definitely positioned us in a good spot, as opposed if we were to be on ETH.
Also, too, it sounds like from a top decision-making situation, you guys are also, in terms of an alignment, what you're pursuing in terms of games, in terms of art, with Metagalactic and Dazed Ducks, there's that congruency within you, Shaun, and then also it sounds like from a business side, there's congruency in terms of the decision to go with Solana versus another blockchain is being thought of along the same way. So in many ways, it sounds like the ethos kind of all the way through of Metagalactic and sort of your own decision making is all aligned here.
100%. And yes, right now, when Zach came on, we were really pushing the DAO incentive, and we did have a lot of decisions in our proposals that community members could vote on. But we shortly realized that in this stage, we need to still make these core decisions until we can actually establish something quite strong, still having a major input and influence from community members, before reaching a stage where potentially the community could take over. So that's always in mind as far as structuring for the community to build together.
Love it.
Yeah, it's a pretty core piece of our values, core values.
Well, I hope that the core values take on, and that the community continues to grow, and that people can use the Metagalactic as can point to Metagalactic as, hey, here's a company that's forward thinking, not just for themselves, but for the community at large. And by the way, here are some actions that they're taking through their advertising, through the way in which they're even structuring their platform to kind of have the end user in mind and or community members in mind. And I think that's to your point on the future of crypto, specifically in the industry of gaming and art that we're talking about today, but all industries, it hopefully that becomes the benchmark, and I think through companies like yours, with those ethos that continue to be inserted, there does stand a chance to kind of have that be the restructured norm, and that's awesome.
It's exciting. And again, not only exciting in business, but I think it could go further than that. I really believe it should be integrated into our political system. So we can pave the path on the business level, but I think at one point, if we can go to that next level, then that's where you can see drastic change in society. And so, hopefully, we see the technology that we're building now to eventually be integrated on that level as well. And whether that's a Metagalactic Club mission or a personal mission, not sure yet, but
hey, time will tell.
Exactly.
This has been another episode of Lights, Camera, Crypto, a fantastic interview with Shaun Falcone, the co-founder of Metagalactic. Shaun, thank you so much, and best of luck with everything.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Lights, Camera, Crypto, a podcast produced by Matt Solon and Essential Media. Music by Brian Duncan and Kareem Himes.